Hey everyone, welcome to the Geo Community Call for May 11th. I hope everyone had a great weekend. Really excited for this week. We've got a lot of things going on, a lot of things behind the scenes that are getting put in place. So really excited about all of the development. One of the big focuses that we're going to have coming up over the next few weeks is we're going to be growing our curator base. So up until now, we're very thankful to everybody who's been guinea pigging using all our new systems. Some of them have been great, some of them have needed some work, but your feedback has been invaluable in polishing things and getting things ready. Um, there's still more to do, but I think we're getting to a place where we could support some more curators. So we're going to be doing a push throughout the month to start re-engaging with folks that have signed up and have wanted to get involved. And hopefully we'll see some new friendly faces joining the calls over the next few weeks. So super excited for that. Um, and some of you may have seen that Geo is going to be involved with Edge City next month. For those of you who don't know, Edge City is a community of pop-up villages. They started as an offshoot of Zuzalu, which is something that Vitalik had, kind of helped get off the ground, where, folks are experimenting with new technologies to create new societies through these pop-up villages and city model. And it's a really fertile ground for experimentation, trying new technologies out with, creatives, engineers, builders, artists, all kinds of folks. And we're going to be putting a bunch of geotechnology to the test there. There's going to be a big focus on agents, which is super cool. Everybody's playing with agents. So we're really excited about that coming up next month. So yeah, a ton of things across the board. But of course, foundational to all of that is having good quality knowledge organized. And excited about all the work people have been doing here. Arturas, would you like to walk us through some of the latest content on the curator side?
Let's do it. Okay, so work on Geo, content on the last week. So first of all, would suggest to visit the community tabs on all of the spaces where we organize community calls, community members, highlights, and priorities. And browsing around the priorities is always good. If you'll find anything that is in a priority list that you happen to have a lot of knowledge about, reach out and we'll figure out a good way to share that knowledge in a way that would be well structured and give you some points for it. And for the contributions, so we can take a look at the crypto space. So AI agent protocols is some of the work people have been doing, listing different agent protocols here and a bunch of data for each. Some of the most relevant properties, countries where it is, team members, that's cool. Topics is used to organize them into a more granular way. So we can see if it's an on-chain AI agents, if it's an AI agent infrastructure, that type of work. So this is a good data set with some information there. And additionally, we have our editors in the space do work on top of the bounties. So as now we have people and some of the projects, products organized in the crypto space for AI, for that specific synergy. We have our editors organizing those into topics so that we can better browse that information. So AI agent infrastructure, we have companies and people that were added by the curators through the bounties. AI compute infrastructure, AI data marketplaces, AI powered DeFi. So some organization, this is generally how data does work with us. So people add all of the data, like including these protocols for AI agent protocols in crypto space, and then we have our editors organize that in a way that would be browsable. And creating the topic means that now it's in some page, and we can dedicate more time and effort onto this if we'll consider this topic to be interesting. So some work here. Also, crypto space got some additional info in the people. We have some new people that we add a bunch of new data about, mostly their work experience of the people, interesting talks that we captured about them, and employment history, and posts that they published. And as always, that is observable from the app that's in the works, and we can see for the same person, the information that is on Geo can be seen through the app right here. So that's on the crypto side. Then on the AI space, we have AutoGPT as an entity created as a tool, and some information about it, origin and growth, autonomous agent capabilities. What can it do? Infrastructure and platform and licensing. So this is just another addition to our list of AI tooling that we're capturing information about. Previously, we showcased OpenClaw, and GPT 5.5. So there's every week we try to highlight a tool, and most importantly, as we're capturing information about them as entities that will give us a good position to start comparing them across each other. So that's on the AI side. Then just like a follow-up on the highlight from the last week, so US Iran war. So we had the events timeline shown before, and we are adding additional granularity in organizing this content right here. So we have these events that were happening in order as the timeline progresses. We can now see all of the events specifically, like these are the list of the involved parties in the conflict. These are events specifically from the US side, for example, specifically events from the Iran side, Israel side. Additionally, we can see the events in a specific areas, like just as it relates to Straits of Hormuz, or Lebanon-Israel front. So we're actually getting like a pretty serious aerial view of the conflict here. Just like events are happening in the right order, just about the Pakistan's involvement, etc. There's a bunch of these different cuts through which we can observe how the conflict is evolving. So some additional work here being done. So I'd say like a good highlight. Also major international treaties. So this is sort of a back-end work a little bit to organize some theory for the global affairs that we'll be able to use that a bit more to reference more historical information here. So some of the most important treaties organized here. So that much we have on the content side on the global affairs. Then would like to highlight, we have a weekly theme for posting, and Maxime has posted information about OpenAI versus Elon Musk trial. And so this is for the team that we're asked for curators to post some content about it and then publish it on X as well to share. So that's like a great share here, and the content is here. So have three-parter, OpenAI versus Musk, the founding promise of AI, some information here. Part 2, what the verdict could mean for decentralized AI, some information here. And part 3, incentives, independence, and governance. So this is like a great work, taking on a theme that we are promoting, creating some content in a personal space, and sharing about the work. One note I would give here, we would suggest to start using type claim, which lets to organize content in a more structured knowledge graph type of way, where every claim, every statement can be referenced, opposed, etc. So anything that we see right here, it could be an entity on its own, right? Like we'll work with you a little bit to help understand how that works. But overall, like definitely a step towards the right direction, and props for using the Geo skills to publish data. Also, we have by Ahmed some work as well published on Geo and like published on Nexus. The challenge suggests, and here we have Musk versus OpenAI trial case events, right, for Musk, and these are actual entities, as we can see, with sources. So this is great. This is exactly what we're looking for. So there's a statement of what happened and the source for checking. So that's on the posting side there. And finally, on the health space, Dini has been working quite a bit and set up like a nice page for genetic disorders that are not curable, like a little bit of a mood killer maybe, but still important data. And props for organizing them in meaningful practical categories. So by cause, genetic disorders, infectious diseases, neurological ones, cardiovascular. So that's great. Like this is exactly a right way to present content. I'm going to give a little bit more of information about that. Ability to show your data set in multiple tables. Will you group them in some practical ways that help to understand what we're looking at and browse in a more meaningful way is a huge leverage for presenting our data. Also,
looks really great. Do we have this new hantavirus thing?
We do, yeah.
What do we know about that? Health people on the call. Is anyone tracking the hantavirus?
Oh, I've been busy. I've not been able to do something on that yet. I don't know if Kevin has been checking some papers. I don't know if he has something to say about that.
We do have some news stories. It's better not be another COVID situation. I don't know. It's quieted down, but I didn't like how it started.
Yeah, like it's
One of the things I'll say about it as a healthcare professional that I understand is if you want a really good outbreak to occur, you need the mortality to be a lot lower than it is for hantavirus. It's like upwards of 40%, which is scary, but it's terrible from like a seeding across the globe perspective. A lower initial mortality rate allows it to spread, mutate, and then terrible for the people that caught it initially, but probably great for everybody else. And in a pandemic,
that's
taking one for the team.
Yeah, perspective on it. Good news.
Yeah, so as always, good place to track important things, including the hantavirus Geo News.
Look at that.
Highlight that feature, highlight that news timeline on the health space, and we can keep track. Last one, May 11th. So today, Canada's Chief Public Health Officer addresses hantavirus cruise ship response and some information about it. All right. Let's go. So yeah, so looking good. So additionally, also another follow-up. Last week we showcased the pharma space that was created by Kevin. And here we have the for information for the top most prescribed drugs in US. We can take a look at the drugs tab. Take some time to load today. Like, let's see if we're gonna get there.
A lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, so I'll
I don't know, Preston, if there might be a performance regression here. Do you know if maybe we're fetching too many things?
I will check. I think I just pushed an update to it last week, so I will check again.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and aside from that, we have Ontology page, which is like really good to look at. So we have like a full ontology for the space, and we can something that we can debate and discuss. And the fact that it's presented in a clear, good way is like actually great. And for also some sources, like love those. And specifically, why I'm highlighting this for this week is a development for the approach that we're doing this is that we have another curator, Dini, who's been working in the health space quite a bit, joining the space. And now we have Dini and Kevin working together on this. So this is something that we do want to encourage. Geo, aside from being many things, is also a community. So if you're able to find other curators who are interested in the same thing and establish some synergy and work on a project together, this is something that we will encourage, and there is enough points for everyone. And if you were able to do a really good project together, we're definitely will empower you there. So we'll introduce more features and ways to help to facilitate sort of establishing more teams on there. But this is like a great example of that starting to happen. And finally, I would say probably a best highlight for this week is the health startups in the health space. And so this is again an example of what we really want to promote. It is initially, this was the bounty, get some top startups in a health space. And we got this data set right here. So we have a table. And so this is kind of, a data set, right? A cool thing, we can browse, scroll around, take a look at, there are things here. The most practical thing, and this is a good a litmus test in general about the quality of your data and properties. Can you use the properties that you have set up and filled in for your data set to create multiple tables that would allow us to better browse and understand what we're looking at in a meaningful way? And this is an example of that, right? We split the tables and now we have mental health startups specifically for mental health. Okay, so this is practical. Now, if someone is looking up for mental health startups, these are the ones that are our curators did some research and highlighted these as really good ones. Also, we have specific products that they are offering right here. Behavioral health startups, general medicine startups, dermatology startups, sexual health startups. So we have a bunch of startups that are specifically specializing in things. So organizing tables into smaller tables that have the meaningful differentiation is great. And this is huge leverage when you're presenting your data. If you can present your data in that way, it's going to be accepted and sort of understood in a much better way. And it also helps you to sort of understand which properties are good to focus on at first, so you can create these types of representations. So that much on the content side for this week.
All right, looking strong. Yeah, great work, everyone. I love seeing the demos. The demos are my favorite part of the week. Seeing all the cool stuff that people keep coming up with, and it's looking really strong. So thanks everyone for the great work there. All right, Preston, how are things on the product side?
Things are good. I'm going to demo a few things. Note, these features are just about to be pushed. They're going through final PR reviews, so they aren't live yet, but just wanted to kind of show them off while we're all here. So first is the concept of property groups. So if you go to a type entity right now, currently there's only this properties panel or properties relation that kind of allows you to set the default properties. But say you wanted to kind of organize those into property groups, for example, like employment, and then maybe I want to create another group for links or something. I can then drag the properties from the properties relation down here and organize them into these property groups. Woo. I can order the relations inside the property groups, as well as within just this ungrouped properties section. So I can also set these to be collapsed by default or not collapsed. Now, if I go back to view mode, we'll see that. Go ahead.
Can you reorder the groups?
Yep, you can reorder the groups. There are little drag panel over here.
All
and can reorder them like that. And so now, if I were to go to a person entity, for example, we'll click any of these. We would see in the properties container here the properties group. So this roles we put into employment, and that is collapsible. If there were ungrouped properties as well, they would just show as an ungrouped properties list. Then if you go into edit mode, you can also see all the properties grouped as we put them before. So this kind of allows you to set up the entity in a way that's much more understandable for someone that's filling it out. And if you want to have a ton of properties that maybe don't make sense for the general user, you can set that to be collapsed by default so that when they kind of come look at this, it doesn't seem really overwhelming and they just see like a few things, then they can be like, oh, I want to uncollapse this or collapse this. So also the ungrouped properties are not collapsible at the current moment. So we can set it so they are. It's kind of was a weird ontology question there, but right now they all show. And then if you were to add a new property down here that isn't already in this list, it would just add to the ungrouped properties list at the bottom.
I just want to take a second to give a little round of applause there, because I feel like this has been much needed for so long and has caused many a blank stare when people are showing up to an entity page and there's all of this stuff in a weird order and you can't really figure it out. And what a big improvement and a great implementation and execution.
Yeah. So it's been a great group effort from us, like Nate, to all the devs and getting that through. So, and then the other thing to note is if you have multiple type entities, if you order the types up here, the property groups will get added in that order. So say one entity had just one property group that was links, and then I added another one that had employment, it would be links and then employment. Or if I just reverse the order up here, it would reverse the order in the groups as well. And then same with ungrouped properties, it would just bunch all the ungrouped properties into one group, but maintain the ordering as they are ordered within the type, and then the types would be ordered as they are up here as well. So that is all kind of one big push. So there, like I said, is going through final PR review, hoping to be ready by tomorrow, but I will send an update with a full video demo as well into the Discord when that's ready as well. Another thing to point out here is the personal homepage is going to now have the type of partner. There's an initial 3 kind of actions you can take at the beginning. We're going to be adding some additional actions as we get relation data blocks added in. But for example, if I click add bio, it's going to drop me into edit mode, add some bio text in here, going to show me that I can make bold, italic, underlined. I can even link things in this markdown text area. If I click add skills, it'll drop down to skills and drop my cursor into the Finder Create window. And then if I create a post, it will add a post tab with a post data block and then drop me over to the post page. And you can see kind of just, you can start creating your post here. So these are just some initial actions the user can take when they first start on Geo to kind of start to understand the system a little bit better, understand what block content is, and so on and so forth. These are other posts that I had created previously while testing and stuff there. And the last thing I wanted to kind of point out here is I'm going to be pushing this morning. It's generally improvement for search throughout the app. So previously search was constrained to just the canonical graph, your space, and whatever space you were in. Now search that is already implemented to have the canonical graph, your space, in all spaces you are a member or editor of, and the space you are in. And then previously it only showed 10 items, but scroll. So you can search and just continue scrolling, and then it'll load as you kind of scroll. Notably, you don't even have to start typing to have the options come up. This is going to be really valuable in the properties or when you're adding a relation or a property. For example, if I wanted to add a value here, it's just going to show me all the values that exist. So currently there's only 3 value entities. So this acts more like a drop down where you have 3 choices to select from. And then, right, in something that has more options like this properties container, you can again have infinite scroll, and it's just going to show you all the property entities. So generally that should be a pretty big improvement for search across the app and kind of helping to add any relation. So we'll be getting that pushed through today. If you guys have any issues, there's any regressions with any of these things, be sure to just call them out and I will work on fixes.
Man, this is starting to feel polished. It's just it's a lot of little things that gets you to this, point. But really great work from the product team, and hopefully these things will all be adding up, making your daily life a little better. Thanks. All right. Let's do a little look ahead. Adam, if you want to share any thoughts on content direction.
Sure. I'm gonna have to jump very soon, so Arturas might have to take over to show you guys a bit what we've built. But this week's theme is going to be the UFO releases. So as mentioned, the US government has been releasing a lot of archival footage, and there's a lot of interesting kind of expert opinions. The first batch that was released was about 160 files, everything from videos to images. Some of them even dating back to the kind of Apollo 11 mission. So we would like basically curators to contribute to a space. So I've created a space that people can join called UFO Releases. If you want to join, we'll send the link in the chat, and we'll accept you. The idea is that we've just kind of started putting the space together to have kind of, what are the different batches of evidence, what's the top evidence and what are the top claims, what are the open questions, what are the different interpretations, who are the people or the experts that have spoken about this. So this is kind of just early contribution, and the idea is for you guys to kind of start contributing to that as well. The other way to contribute is here. So this is actually my latest version of the contributions that I've made, but I haven't copied them over to the actual UFO release space that I just created. So I also created a topic that's inside world affairs. And so this is kind of to show you guys the two different options that you have. Either you can participate to the specific topic that's already in world affairs, or we can create a specific space called UFO releases. But the idea is that, this content will live in one of these, we'll merge them and either have them all together in one. And the idea is for this to be kind of a collaboration between us, between all the different creators that want to participate, and you guys will be able to earn points. Now, we also created a bounty. We think this is kind of an interesting way to kind of test, and track how many people are actually interested in contributing. So we'll also send you guys the bounty that we created. We purposely created a bounty that's quite open-ended. We've given you guys, 10 or 15 different contribution angles that you can tackle, and we'll be rewarding people an amount of points based on the quality of their contributions. We think, judging from experience, this is probably an easier way to work. So this is the bounty that we've created today. If you guys are interested, we'll also send that in the chat. You can, click I'm interested, and then you guys can contribute directly to Geo. We've given you a lot of different options to contribute. Feel free to use this, do something bigger, something smaller. We want this to be really like an easy, way for people to kind of contribute and start accessing a topic. Yeah.
Nice. Looking good. Awesome. Yeah, exciting. Yeah, and it should be fun. I've never known what to make of the UFO stuff. Watch some of the movies, and it's an interesting area. You really can't tell whether it's a diversion tactic or whether there's stuff there. I bet there's stuff there. The interesting thing to me more recently is about the scientists disappearing. Don't know what that's about, but that's something that, would be nice to have in there. Try to like, what were those? Like, I don't know, it's classified, so we don't know exactly what they were working on, but it seems like a lot of it was energy sources. I don't know if anyone was working on like gravity, things related to advanced physics. All very interesting. Cool.
That could be something to include in the space, have a tab or a topic that's like, disappearances of scientists.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. So, for anyone who wants to sleuth around. Cool. Thanks. All right. So let's open it up for discussion now. There are a few areas that I thought would be great to dive into a little bit more today. One is, related to some of these workflows around the personal spaces, the different public spaces. Um, would be good to talk through some things. I think there's a lot that we want to add on the product and API side to support different workflows there. But I do have a general kind of question and or concern around if now that people are doing a lot of work on their own personal spaces and other spaces, how to make that stuff discoverable, and how we should think about the workflow there for either getting the content linked in a public space, actually creating the subspace, things like that. Maybe at some point here we could have Preston maybe walk through the latest. I know there's still some churn that's happening on our, setting topics on spaces and the subspace management and stuff there. So not sure if we're waiting on anything there, but I'd like to open that up for conversation. And then the other thing is going over some core ontology things. I think getting more alignment on some of the core types is really important. Maybe we start on that one. And Arturas, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to discuss specifically, but one of the ones I'd just love to start on because I still have the open questions here is around people. So you gave a demo, and maybe it would be great if you could pull that back up with one of those people pages, just for us to kind of align. I had initially created that people app pretty quickly. We discussed it a little bit on the last call. We looked at how we wanted to handle employment. I feel like we made some decisions there. I don't know if there are other properties that are question marks. But I think, people is one of the most core entities, obviously, in the whole system. I like to say that Geo is a human-centered network, which I think, especially in the age of AI, we got to put the people in the middle, in the center. I still think. So one of the most important entity types, and probably worth spending a little bit of time discussing the ontology there.
Okay, let's take a look. So back to people from the most recent highlight.
Yeah, one thing here is it's a small product thing, but maybe Preston. I think when there's like one type of thing, maybe we don't need labels. But when there's a bunch of different relation properties, it's probably better to have the labels.
Yep. I was actually talking to Nate about this the other day. We want to do a full redesign on the data blocks
Yeah,
representation
but
here.
otherwise looking pretty good. But yeah, okay.
Okay, so let's take a look at the full view and we can see all of the properties here. Can we already start organizing properties into groups by Preston's
Yeah, pretty soon. Okay,
update?
so we've discussed basically employment, that we're going to put everything there, and then we have founded. Yeah, so these are different relations. I think that's right. Gave talk, GitHub. One thing that I'm seeing is, we started this thing with the links where we put full links, but the desire was to move away from that. So it is something that we can be doing, and the sooner we start doing it, the better. I don't know if there's any issues with it, but if you open the GitHub property, like in a new tab, it should have, or does it not? I mean, weird, there's two
Well,
properties.
go to
Actually,
the
this is
root
encrypted.
representation.
Yeah.
Go to the or
Does it not have one?
maybe one of the other ones.
This may be the wrong.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, it's in industries. Yeah, okay. I guess that makes sense. Okay, so there's a format. First of all, Preston, that was a space ranking issue. I would think that industries would rank higher than crypto because crypto is an industry. Oh, it is higher here. So I wonder why it took us to crypto
No,
first.
it's only higher in this list because it's selected, I think. Yeah, I think
Oh,
the selected
Yeah,
one is
that's
on the
true.
top.
Okay, so
Yep.
it's good to have these examples documented. By the way, guys, if you see things like this, having, anything where you would expect something to work differently, around things like rankings, search, it's helpful to have that feedback. So yeah, let's make a note of this. I think industry should have ranked higher than crypto. But okay, if we go back into that, so it has a format is the point. And so it should work that you just put the handle and then it'll format it as a link for you. And then we don't have to, save all this extra text for every social link. So that's something I think we should start to apply.
And for this example, just if there is something like, GitHub property where there is multiple representations of it, but the representations are all the same, it might make sense to just move that into the root space and then delete and then remove the other spaces representations if they're
Yeah,
not needed.
we could. Yeah. So LinkedIn, same. Now, the interesting thing here with LinkedIn is, I don't know, there's this UK dot. I don't know if that's necessary. But I actually haven't seen that on any social links, but it's interesting because I guess that breaks the format thing a little bit. So you could still do this if you wanted to like have the fully qualified thing, but my guess would be it probably still resolves even without the UK dot if you just had this Stanny handle. Okay. So I see the key contributions. First of all, so when I see this, well, these look almost like topics. And is that how it's organized there? Because I would think that a key contribution should be more kind of fully qualifying, a little more concrete.
Also, even a larger question: should a property be sort of value judging, like a word key? Isn't it like enough for upvoting, downvoting situation? There should be like a list of contributions, and how some of them become considered to be key contributions. It's more of a for a community to decide, probably.
It's a good question. I think so. Initially, I had done this when I was creating my personal space. And for me, I did want to list it. It's almost a collection of, what I think my key contributions are. So I think there's value in that. I also think you're right that, you could have just contributions and everybody could add if they think there's additional contributions or over time. I think probably, yeah, like a person could have hundreds of contributions. But if they want to semantically say, I think this is my curated list of key contributions, I think that's totally fine to do as well. And then in addition, have the ranked list of all their contributions. Armando?
We can have a quick look on Sam Altman or Dalio Medier. The contribution are a bit more refined. To understand
it's good to look at all of the examples just to, for conversation and to kind of get a feel. What are we doing here? We were looking at Sam and then we jumped back.
Sam Altman was like suggested as like a better example of a
So right, co-founded OpenAI, right, oversaw the development. That's a perfect one there, right? Yeah, oversaw the development of ChatGPT. So yeah, secured the Microsoft partnership and investment for OpenAI. So that's fantastic, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
The one thing I just add is, are these, we want properties to be semantically descriptive, and is this semantically descriptive here when we're talking about key contributions? Would this be better to be a data block, right? Co-founded OpenAI, should that be in the employment relation? Like, what is the, if there are papers that are written, things like that, like, is this semantically descriptive?
I think there can be duplications. I think it is. I think it's okay for it to both be in the employment or in the published or whatever, and then also be in this collection. I guess to your point, you could take those existing things and put them in a collection. And maybe that's kind of what you're saying is, hey, let me kind of pick and choose things and put them in a collection. That's reasonable.
I think there's two sides of it. One, you could say those existing things, put them in a collection, but two, instead of a property, should this be a collection? Like key contributions here is a property, whereas a collection would be like a data block that is linked to these things.
Just a small. How is it linked? How's it linked? What's the filtering on there? Because there still needs to be some relation between the contribution and the entity in question.
Yeah, so a collection data block has a collection item relation from the data block entity to each of those entities.
So so let's say in that case, there is a contribution, let's say co-founded OpenAI, right? That's a type of contribution. What would be a relation between Sam Altman and co-founded OpenAI? What's the relation and the knowledge graph with your approach?
The relation would be from the data block entity to that thing, to that claim, and then that claim should likely have relations back to Sam Altman as well.
Yeah, you kind of end up with this extra intermediate entity.
Yeah, I'm not, just a note, I don't know what the right answer is, or
it could still be a data block with the properties.
So really what this would be is, I mean, a relation data block, right, would allow you to represent it as a data block pulling from this relation. I guess the point is, do we want there to be this intermediate entity or not, right? I think collections are useful, when you want to just create lists of things and you have a collection, and the whole point is I'm putting it in this collection. But for things like, I do tend to think that key contributions potentially would be one of the most valuable things, right, about a person in some way, to kind of be like, hey, I think I should have more power in this context because look at what I've done. And so for something that's that important, I would see the case for there being really a direct relation that is more semantic, right? You're saying it's more semantic. I think the collection is less semantic, right? Because you're just putting it in a list, whereas here you're saying what's the relationship.
I think I have no problem with the current ontology, just for argument's sake. Difference would be right now, co-founded OpenAI 2015. We're talking about what is the relation from Sam Altman to this thing, but really it would be like an employment relation from Sam Altman to OpenAI, and then the thing would be roles, and then this would be a claim related to that thing.
I think they're different relations and they're different ways of looking at the same thing. So I think they should both exist, right? I think exactly. You should see that there's a relation between Sam Altman and OpenAI. That's the employment relation. But then you should also be able to be like, okay, well, what are the top things that this guy has done? And I think having that as a relation also makes sense, that's right from the perspective of your contributions. And now I do think it's interesting that if you have key contributions and you have contributions as two separate things. So this is the part I'm a little bit, I could see the opposite case for, is, and to combine with what both of y'all are saying, that really it's the contribution that's the relation versus having two separate relations or something like that. And then it's taking those relations and putting them into a collection or something. It actually does kind of make sense that if it's, there's 1,000 contribution relations, and then you're like, okay, here are the 10 that I want to group together and highlight. I could see that.
And one last thing, just to note on this, if you click on the led to the development of and release of ChatGPT,
the development,
click the first one. It's just like, what is the difference between this and a claim, and why is it a separate thing?
Okay, I can clarify that. A claim, the way that the claim works for us, it is a context-independent statement, right? So it would be, if it was a claim, it would be Sam Altman led the development and release of ChatGPT. And then it's an entity that's like a block of information. You can organize it, push it with other claims, add opposing, supporting, etc. Contribution, I would say there is like a special value to having non-contents dependent sort of statements like that, because this one can be attached to other people who have also led the development and release of ChatGPT. And this can actually help organize that. So because multiple people can have the same contribution, but only one person can have one claim about them developing that.
It's interesting. Now, in a sense, there is a way in which every relation is its own claim, right? You're claiming that there's a relation between this and that. So you're claiming that this person led the development, right? And that's a relation. but I agree with everything that you're saying. But just pointing out the duality here.
That's true. Ultimately, claim is a relation on a knowledge graph. Like on like pure like semantic level, it is. Any claim that you're going to write, you would be able to present it as a relation or as a property on an entity. So in this example, that would look like Sam Altman relation to led the development of release, the entity of the relation. So we can actually open that, right?
Yeah.
So this relation right here is equal to type claim Sam Altman has led the development of release of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I think part of the difference is like how much of the knowledge should be inferred and how much of it should be directly spelled out, right? Because Sam Altman, key contribution, led the development and release of ChatGPT is one way of writing this. Another way would just be Sam Altman developed ChatGPT, right? So there's a developed relation from Sam Altman to the ChatGPT entity, which would more or less say the same thing, but it requires a little bit more inference.
Yeah, I like here. I think there's a lot of value in this because it's such a central part of what we're doing. So, if you wanted to have another relation that was, everything that Sam developed and you use the developed, relation, I think that's fine. I think probably what we'll see, we're early on enough that we can like super curate things, but like that's going to go away. Like there's going to be so much knowledge in so many different ways, and we can't restrict people creating new knowledge, even if it's duplicated or whatever. So we should just assume that it's going to kind of be like all of the above, right? But as long as you can have what you need for the contexts that are important to you, I think that's what matters. And so to me, again, I just think the key contributions is such an important thing for some to have standardized to be able to see on like right now I put that on the homepage of the people app, right? And it would be very difficult to infer. Maybe you could do it, but I think we could have a longer discussion on this. I think it's a good initial discussion. We should maybe link up afterwards to try to make some decisions. I do very much want to like unblock. On the one hand, I want to like iterate and try to make sure that we've got the right ontology. On the other hand, I want to unblock people from publishing lots of, info about people. We can always migrate and update things later. So, I think we don't have to get everything perfect at the beginning. But that's a good conversation on that. Cool. So we have employment founded, gave talk. Do people like gave talk?
The property is good. The names can always be maybe like sound a bit smoother.
Yeah, but you have suggestions?
Talks given. I feel it's like yeah.
Spoke at
would probably should link to an event.
An event. Mm-hmm.
But actually, this does no like
Yes.
no. This one is this is like a link to an actual talk. Yeah, and we have like a YouTube video.
But I think
I
the
want-
link so I think
Sorry.
the link to events like the Federal Reserve Conference is an event. India AI Impact Summit 2026 is an event, and TED 2025 I think they are events. So can they be events like that? And it will be
The event is here. The event is on the talk. So if you click on the talk, right, Sam Altman at India Impact Summit, that's a talk. That's a video. You can, and this entity page is for organizing the claims that he made there. Links to videos, etc. And then it links to the event, and then we have an event, and here we can organize the talk, like the information about the event itself, right? Like when it happened, where, the location, other information.
Yeah.
By the way, I would like the word event more than parent event for a talk.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so lives in published. Do we think published is a good catch-all, Or, I guess there's different types of things you would publish, like books or papers, articles. Should those be separate properties, or we like it as a catch-all?
So that's like a bigger question, and I think these things need to coexist on the knowledge graph, which is semantically broader and semantically richer properties, and they both have their place. The semantically broader ones, it's you capture everything, and simply because of practical purposes, it would be very difficult to always get like semantically rich, like exactly what's the type, what did they do, and because it's a shared knowledge graph and it's communities building it, if someone just manages to add all of the things that a person published in one property, that already it's a connection. It's a real connection to the knowledge graph. It's between these publishers and the person. And then once it's there, someone else can go in and like sift through them and distribute in a more semantically rich place. So I would say published it's a practical, useful property. It's something that people can do. Get points for it, and it's like a pass to others. But that there also should be more, like that's like a perfect example for somewhere where we could use group properties. If I could expand this and see like more specific properties there that for what kind of things or where are they published.
That could be good. Armando?
The publish is related on the app. It's only so on the app we have a tab which is named post. The change should be maybe made directly on the front end to allow like more publication as article, paper, and
Yeah, I guess part of why I'm raising this is, I made that app really fast actually. And so I don't want us to make everything to fit the app. I'm happy to make changes to the app also. So I just want to, we should be having, more of these discussions. And if I then should make changes to the app, I'm happy to do that. So maybe based on this, I would love to see like a proposal in some kind of document on Geo would be great, with maybe changes that we might make to the people ontology, and then I'll update the app, and then we can migrate the existing content so that it renders properly in the new app, and then we start converging sooner. So I'm happy to make a round of breaking changes sooner rather than later. It's probably a good time now that we've done this for more people.
One quick note on the published standpoint. It also is the opportunity, or there's the opportunity to do like query type properties. Like there would be a query data block with all of the entities that this person is the author of, right? And then that would catch all of books or whatever else. Anything that has author equals this person would get kind of lumped into that. So it could kind of get around a little bit of the need for semantic exactness on the outgoing property.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, so we have posts and then we have like tweeted, right? So I guess that's an example of, right, it is a different relation here, but it's also in a sense a post. It's also something you published. So do we think maybe the solution is property groups and maybe having the different actual properties? And the other weird thing that we haven't really zeroed in on yet is, so we allow you to have multiple relation types, right? Do we? Or do we not? No, I think it's one type on the relation and then many on the relation entity, right? But then do we show them all here, or Preston, can you
I'm sorry, what is the what are you
do we
referring
support
to?
multiple relation types on the relation? We don't, right? It's one type on the relation.
Where you're saying tweeted up here, you're saying?
Yeah, so right. So that's yeah.
So the relation itself has a single property that defines the type of relation.
That's right. It has a single, right. And then
the relation entity and entity could define many. Part of we need to actually figure out we need to figure out a solution to allowing the user to choose the correct one when many are set. Right now, it just chooses the first one, which is incorrect. But you could say published can point to two entities that have type of tweet, book, whatever.
I feel like at some point we do need a separate big good call just for the relations and work this out. Like the actual like usage of relations, it's not like fully ready at this point. I would say like there's like some questions there.
Okay, let's make time. Let's block off some time for the next call to do that. Okay, so because I think we probably don't expose the details precisely. For that might be part of the solution here. But it sounds like we're on board with potentially more relation types here. So I think we should check on that a little bit more. But maybe like papers published, tweets, books published, right? Maybe those all make sense as separate.
Yeah. All of those would be published, just like linking to a different type, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, like or you have a published property group with a bunch of different properties within it, with like books, papers, tweets, whatever.
Yeah,
those are the two options.
Good conversation. We're at time, so yeah, would love it if we could work on a shared document with proposed changes to the person entity. We can discuss it there, and then I'll make the changes to the people app so that it reflects those changes, and then we can migrate the data. But already looking really strong. So cool. Really great work. Love the demos today on the content and product side. I think people are working on some really interesting things. We even have some fun bounties for the week. So really excited to see what everyone does this week. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Great to see everyone, and see you online. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.